Seema, I want to ask you about, this shift, because there is so much reverence in our politics for President Biden. In Hollywood, it is, and I don't mean this I guess I do mean it in a derogatory way, it's more transactional. And some of that anger was they didn't feel like they were getting what they were putting in. Just talk about how the hope and the optimism around Harris might activate parts of sort of entertainment and culture that might have never been available to either the other two gentlemen at the tops of their tickets.
I mean, this does remind me of when President Obama, when he first ran, and once it became clear that he'd be the nominee over Hillary Clinton in 2008, as well as in 2012, in terms of the excitement among Hollywood donors and just donors in California. California is a huge donor state. It usually gives the most. It almost always gives the most to the presidential candidates of both parties, and the level of excitement recently has not been so great. I mean, there were certainly some very large fundraisers here. Haim Saban had a very big one for Joe Biden recently. There were some others, but it felt more sort of status quo pro forma. And there does really seem to be a ramped up sense of excitement. And in terms of not only, I think, because of her candidacy, she's younger, she's more, I think, more energetic. But the idea that I think they think that there's a better chance of winning. I think there's a real concern about not being successful.
She's also from California. Let me show you, Rev, some of the early praise for the vice president from Oprah and others.
There's a great district attorney in San Francisco whose name is Kamala Harris. She's brilliant, she's smart, she doesn't look anything like anybody you ever see on Law and Order.
San Francisco's district attorney pressed Congress to repeal a law that she says makes it much tougher to fight crime.
This will shackle the hands of law enforcement and government in our ability to be able to detect where and to whom guns are being sold.
With a 90% conviction rate, superstar prosecutor Kamala Harris made history when she was elected California's first African-American female district attorney.
I mean, it's an interesting point that Cornell makes, sort of the most famous unknown person. I know some political strategists are angsty about getting her up on television. Her bio is extraordinary, and I think some of the excitement in Hollywood is that they know her, and you heard Steph Curry there say she's always supported us. We're going to support her. But talk about making sure that story scales across the entire country.
No, I think the story has to be brought across the country, and no one knows better how to do that than Cornell Belcher. But I think that when you look at the fact that she was able to have a law enforcement background in terms of district attorney in San Francisco, state attorney general in California, then on to the Senate, every time she had some effort by others, her opponents, to say, oh, she's with the cops, which is what Cornell was referring to, she won anyway. Because, first of all, I think they underestimate the fact that people understand we need somebody that is in those positions that will be fair. But at the same time, we need to put that message out there so it's not distorted as some are doing. Because if you put her record up against Donald Trump's and put a record up against J.D. Vance, it's almost a joke to try to compare the two. And when you look at the fact that she's had such a way of winning across racial and age lines, I've known her since she was the DA in San Francisco. She has shown the capacity that if her message and background is put out there, that she can bridge more of the gaps that customarily frighten people in politics.
Yeah, I think that the idea, Cornell, that the Trump campaign will remain in its sort of flustered crouch would be foolish. And I'm sure the Harris campaign isn't lulled into any complacency. But they had this moment where she's dominating the earned media cycle so completely. And one of those issues is around the debate. I mean, he is sort of shriveled into a ball of fear at the idea of debating her. Let me show you how she's responded.
I'm ready to debate Donald Trump. I have agreed to the previously agreed upon September 10th debate. He agreed to that previously. Now it appears he's backpedaling, but I'm ready. And I think the voters deserve to see the split screen that exists in this race on a debate stage. And so I'm ready. Let's go.
I'm ready. Let's go. I mean, she's sort of full of taglines and slogans. But to that, Donald Trump says, "Oh, I don't think so."
Well, first, I do have to give a nod to. I like the clip where you showed the late great Gwen Ifill, and I know all of us in the business still miss her. But it's something that Donald Trump never wants to look, and because it is at the core of his brand and his existence. But right now, he looks weak. And he particularly looks weak, like he's running from a woman, which is something that the Sulu tribe, they're a big bad tribesman, never wants to do. And I think so I think he's in a really awkward position. But at the same time, he knows, in fact, if he has a debate with her, the prosecutor, she's going to prosecute the case effectively against him. So he's kind of in a no-win situation. But right now, it looks really weak on his part for him to be running away from the debate. And she is doing the absolute right thing. The campaign's doing the absolute right thing, not letting him get away with it, calling him out for it, because the last thing he wants to do is seem weak. And right now, Nicole, he seems weak.